Good afternoon. It's 2:32 Eastern Time. Looking at the stories for today to see where we are, how it's developed, and we opened this morning above range. I'm sorry, above in range, above value. That's what I meant to say. Now I did merge the profiles together to get a because we have had a couple balancing days, and basically we opened in range in value. So we traded up. We had a little dip down. This pink bar here is the opening range. It's more than a minute. It's a couple minutes long. And we traded on up steadily with strong market internals. We took out the overnight high. We took out the prior high a day. Now, we didn't get traction up here. It tapered off, and we had a pretty swift rejection down. Pretty swift rejection down. So we fell back into balance, and that was the idea, to remain in balance and rotate primarily within yesterday's range. Now, because market internals were so high, I was trying to get long a bunch of times, and well, I say a bunch, but enough times, and I had not so great success to start, but then it came around after I got in at a lot better price. However, as you can see in a minute, the day rolled on to the downside and carried on with the balance. Now, basically, open in range above value and break out to the upside. Well, we broke up, but we didn't break out, right? We broke up, and it was swiftly rejected. That's a very important phrase, swiftly rejected, and this quickly kind of came off the table, and we fell back into number one, open in range above value, remain in balance, rotate primarily within yesterday's range. Now, this is important. I spoke about this in the video. The strategy was to basically get on board for rotation down. So that means selling the prior high day. Well, it came off of here pretty swiftly, and at the time the market internals were so strong, I wasn't looking to sell it. But once we had some more development down here, and also, by the way, value was clearly higher compared to yesterday at the time. Anyway, so I talked about all the way down, there were lots of inflection points. And I also mentioned the fact that we had anomalies in the overnight. I think I mentioned that in the video. Maybe I didn't. But we had anomalies yesterday. You can see these right here, anomalies in the overnight, which represents a lot of indecision. Okay, see, like right here. And when you want to have a breakout to the upside, you want confidence. Well, the indecision really favored the rotation. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that in a second. Now we also could look at number three as far as open in range in value as an alternate way of looking at this as having played out, because we did open in range in value when we put the 2 days together, and probably more so if I pulled in the overnight structure here and overnight volume. But the idea in that one would be rotate within yesterday's value area or range for a balancing day, which for the most part today it has been. We have had now extension to the downside. So that being said, and I'm going to pull this in here, this is our daily chart, and the 1-2 that I was working as an idea for continued upside, at least on this time frame. I'll have to go back and see if there's a bigger structure here, but this is technically kaput because we took out this low back here on 617, which I'm going to talk about in a moment. I don't need this trend line anymore, and I feel like I've deleted these things a couple of times. All right, I'll do them later. Okay, so the idea was, again, to have mixed neutral market internals. Now, it took a while. They rolled off from like 16 to 12 to 10 to 8 to 6 to 4. Right now, we're at 1. Pull them in here. This is neutral, mixed even, right? Mixed to neutral. So that is actually reflected in the price action, which I'll show you in a minute. Now, we had a new TPO, so things could be changing here. But the idea, and I talked about this, was to sell the prior high a day. Again, it came off so swiftly, it was hard to do that. And then get your mind around the fact that now we're maybe rotating down. Either buy the value area high, which I had success doing that, or buy the value area low, didn't get down there and when I was active then. Sell the value area high, or sell the value area low, depending on market internals and developing structure and value. Now, this is important. We're going to talk about this all the way down to where we are right now. Let me just move this out of the way. Okay, so you can see that, and I'm going to show you this. Once D made a poor low, right on the pivot point, okay, where it was too wide here in the overnight, we had single prints. I talked about there were lots of different places along the way to maybe either get long against or get short against, just depending. And this would have been an opportunity now that we've had a poor low and things move down rather rapidly to maybe get short against this pivot point. Had someone done that, this would have been a fantastic trade all the way down to settlement. Someone could have shorted. Well, if you if you're trying to sell settlement here, you didn't get to it, but there's other, at this point you got to figure it's going to go to the close, and this would be the 415 close. So that's what I use. All right, I use it from I guess maybe I'm old school, surprisingly enough, and when it used to have a 15-minute period between 4:15 Eastern and 4:30 Eastern, this used to be the close. Okay, I still use it. So took out the overnight low. Now, looks like it just smashed right through here. Maybe it did, but we're going to look at a different structure. So let's take a look at the 10-minute. How could we have traded this as I talked about doing as far as the different increments? So here's a 10-minute chart. You can see there was a couple. There was an opportunity in D period here to sell the value area high. Okay. There was an opportunity in E period to sell the pivot point. Sell the pivot point again, and this is relatively an inside bar, so could have sold half back here if you're looking for a breakout, because now you have place for stops, place for stop, place for stops. So you're going to get some fuel there to the downside. Could sold against the settlement. Now it didn't quite get there, so there was some strength to the downside, but these are areas I would have missed these because I don't tend to put if I'm looking to sell the value area low, I'm not selling it way down here. Like right now, we're up here in K. This might be a good trade to sell because, again, market internals are not strongly positive. That level is likely to hold. So another thing that happened. Okay, now we're rolling off into a new situation. Take out the prior low a day, which is right here, with continuation, or take out prior low a day and look for long. So I would jump, and I did this in the video, I jumped to 5 first because before we have continuation, we got to clear all this. Okay, this is back on 17. I put in a bunch of, here, this will be helpful. Let me do this. Okay. Look for longs at pre-identified inflection points below. So just like yesterday, we had all of these inflection points that I marked off and talked about where one could have gotten run over or waited till it came back through and traded them on the flip side. But had someone taken a bounce, let's say you got conservative and you wanted to buy this 616 low, it came right to the 617 low exactly. Okay, let's just take a look at one moment here. I need to. I'm going to get the risk reward tool. Let's just measure what some of these potentials were. Okay, so say this. The white dot's going to be the entry. Looks like I have to. Here, let me just do this. Having trouble setting on there. So, well, let's just say a little bit above. Okay. You may have been ready to catch this like a catcher's mitt and gotten, I don't know, I'll have to look at something else to get some bounces. But from there to the high of where we, well, now we've gone a lot higher. Well, let's just say G high because you'd have been in there a while. That is 77 ticks. Okay. So for a 3-point stop. All right, so let's move off of the 10-minute chart here. Let's look at a 1 minute and get a little more granular as to how this played out. So, okay, came down, right? And I'm going to make this bigger. And I'm going to do the risk reward tool again. So, right here, let's say you just put your stop right at this where it was 5 wide. Or I'm not your stop, I'm sorry, your entry. So the first thing it does is it draws a stop. Let me back up here a minute. Which is smart, okay? I gotta make this bigger. Okay, so we're looking at, let's say you want to risk, let's just go down here and I'll move it up, okay? Because I wouldn't risk this much for this, but I don't want to stick to that. Let's make it a little bigger. Okay. All right, there we go. So right there where it's 5 wide, what would this been worth if you took a bounce up to here? 14 ticks. That's 14 ticks. You can see where it bounced right up here. Actually, it bounced further. It bounced 16 ticks, but you know, to say you're going to exit right there, you know, let's just say you took 2 point, little bounce. Okay. Let's say the next thing you did. Now, where would you risk? It's up to you. You could just risk a couple points. You know, could just risk right below this 3 wide. It's probably what I would look to do. I'm not too concerned about ratios, you know, especially when you're not this quick. You're either right or right out, all right? Ideally, you're the stop, not the stop order. That's just for catastrophic things. We need to be quick. So let's look at the next one, okay? So it came back through, and now let's say you wanted to take a bounce off of where it was 5 wide there, and we want to have on the other side of this. Remember, there's a low volume area. So this bounced to where? Let's see. Not very high. Still two points. So let's say you went for, you know, just 2 points. At this point, you got to figure it's going for the low as well. All right. Now let's try that. Let's try the low. Okay. Let's say we just, again, this is just saying that we got in, letting it just smash into us. Okay. And we want to risk the 617 low. Okay. So this bounced up. Not at all. Okay. Would have been smashed. Now you might not have been stopped out, but you would have been smashed. So at this point, we're looking at buying the 617 low as it makes a poor low with it, okay? And you don't have to risk much, or you could risk a lot. But let's say you just risked a nice. Let's just say you put 2 points, okay? Kind of a traditional. So it bounced up here, and let's say you just took it up underneath this 3 wide here. That is 25. That's 6 points. Okay, 6 and a quarter point, 25 ticks. All right. Now, if you would have hung on, now let's look at this. So this is what I was talking about, the floor trader buy. So it came down here, came back through. Now you might want to either buy it now, didn't get there, buy this pivot. Well, that you may not have that on your charts, but let's keep it simple. Buy the 616 low, which I marked out. Okay, and now risk this low. All right, so you're risking 3 points basically to make, again, if you don't even get all the way up here, but that's let's even bring it down a little bit. 48 ticks. So let's see, what is that? 12 points. All right, and you could have rinsed and repeat. Came back down. You know, maybe you're, and here you go. So you get the idea, right? I mean, you don't even have to go for these big moves. Just take a couple chunks. That's a nice one right there. So again, risk under here. Now there's a minute chart, all right? You can see how this played out time and again on these levels. It kept getting revisited. Finally, it did come through and flush out any stops here. But what if you were patient and you waited till this was all done? Because you might want to look for a short against this if we're going to get a strong move to the downside. Well, it really came back through here, came back down, and on that 616 low, look where it finally went to, right? Back up to the value area high. Now, I had mentioned shorting it, and the market internals looked like it'd hold. Well, as I said, in this market, very often you just get smashed right through level, and it looks like it just went right through it. So, doesn't look like there was much pullback at all. I'd have to look on the tick chart here, and it just went behind the screen. So let's see. And I think we're about right where the value area high was. Because I don't have the same Okay, no, it's at 62.75, which is right here. 62.75. Yeah, so if you bought, if you sold that and you were fast, which I don't know, I think this would have been an easy stop out because at this point, what's going on here? Oh, I see. Just a moment. Sorry about this, but this is important. Where's my risk reward tool? I have to put this back in. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, this is hardly what we're talking about, but let's say you got short there. Yeah, 5 ticks. You know, yeah, that would have. I would say that all odds. The odds are you probably would have gotten stopped out on this one. But anyway, that's now I would look for possibly we're back into the value area at 62.75. This might be a possible buy. You know, the market internals are slightly positive. You know, just have to look at some other things. Anyway, I'm kind of getting off the track, but the whole point was to show how we flipped from one scenario to the morphed into the other, and I've talked about this in the past. And doesn't look like at least at this point. Now there's a good hour and 15 minutes left. That we're going to get continuation. We want to get on board with the strong move if there's clear long liquidation has resumed. Don't know that that's going to happen. The market internals aren't that negative right now. Things have sort of petered out, and we're back into range and back into value. So this, take out prior low of day, look for longs at pre-identified inflection points below. Had this been the trading plan and you traded that plan, it would have been likely very successful for you. So hope that you enjoyed the video and got something out of it. That's all for now. Just a midday update, and thank you very much. Make a great day.